Hello, lovely listeners.
We are your boyfriend twins,
We're the same.
but we're different. Also, we're not actually boyfriends.
Yeah, we're not related either. We're just...
We're just... Oh.
Oh,
Oh. We're just two people that finish each other's...
podcasts.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
Oh my gosh, I hate us so much.
I love us. The fact that you hate yourself is something you've talked about a lot, and I don't want to get into it again. I'm tired of that. But I love myself, and I will never stop loving myself.
Oh God, happy Pride Month. I guess we're here already.
Happy
Jesus.
Pride Month, guys. Okay,
Aye.
here's a gay tip for Pride Month. Even straight men can use it. I've recently discovered concealer. This is it. It was red, and I put a little bit of concealer. Now it's beige. How beautiful is that?
That's really great. You know what has been really helpful for me? I tend to when I get acne, it's usually from not washing my pillowcases enough. So what I do is just sleep on my back so that all my acne's on my neck and no one really sees it unless I'm walking away.
I don't believe that's real. I think it's just genetic.
Acne's not real. It's just genetic.
No, the pillowcase part.
How often do you wash your pillowcases?
I wash them pretty frequently, actually.
No, I'm looking for a number. I'm putting you on blast.
No, you don't need to.
How often do you wash your
Not
pillowcases?
the most often, but my skin is great.
I don't know.
It's not the most frequent.
Unfortunately, this is being recorded, and we did hear you a minute ago talk about having acne.
Hold up. My skin is great, and it's great because of retinol. I get like one zit every few months. Therefore, my pillowcases I wash, just not maybe the most frequently. Kevin, my future husband might be listening to this podcast. This is why I will change for you. I will change everything for you, okay? I will change my entire personality. I will wash. No, I'm kidding. I am a catch. I don't need you to tell me to change anything. I am who I am.
Anytime I hear a red flag anywhere, I'm just gonna say Happy Pride Month instead. I'm just gonna be like, all right, here we are. The gays
You're a walking red flag. You're a walking red flag. So happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month. Because, okay, can I tell you guys why Kevin's a walking red flag?
Before we get too much into this already chaotic episode, guys, please like and subscribe, rate our podcast with 5 stars if you like what we do. Help us out as much as possible.
Okay, someone commented that I look like I'm always about to cry and that my eyes are constantly teary, and I'm like, can you comment if you agree? I'm looking at myself right now and I kind of see it. Why are they glassy?
Yeah, man, I feel like I've been saying this from day one.
Why do I have glassy eyes?
I think that's a question for you and God. I don't really know how to answer that for you.
Okay, comment if you think my eyes look glassy. And okay, I want you guys to also genuinely comment if you agree with my sentiment or Kevin's. Kevin, the reason Kevin is a walking red flag is I was telling Kevin about how I was talking to somebody on a dating app and they were like, oh yeah, we're going to meet Friday, days in advance, day of, can't wait to see you later today, so excited, tonight, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I'll let you know when, I'm just at my friend's for dinner. I message this person at 10 p.m. Or no, he messages me at 10 p.m. Sorry. And he goes, hey, sorry, it's just taking a while. And so I wait literally till 1 a.m. I'm ready. I'm like, I've changed. And I'm like, hey, like, what's up? And he's like, hey, oh my God, sorry. Can we just go for coffee tomorrow? And I was really peeved because I was like, I'm not just at the beck and call of like any random man. Like, I cleared my Friday for this. I have a busy life. I have friends I care about. My Friday was empty for this, and I stayed up and got ready. That is not appropriate. So I did politely kind of scold him and explain to him why that was inappropriate, and I made him apologize to me properly the next day, which was great, and it all went well after that, and whatever. Kevin's take was, yeah, okay, I get it, but I just want to say that it is kind of, and he uses the term, red flag. It is kind of a red flag that you were so serious about it. Like, I've like been kind of like whatever about planning dates on dating apps, and I was like, that's why you're a red flag. You said red flag. Ask Alexis.
I said that. No, I agree. I said red flag. My perspective on this is that your standards were far too high for a man you met on a dating app. If I am meeting a man on an app, I expect nothing more than for them to cancel 5 minutes after we make a plan.
We had met the week before and we're chatting for a week leading up to it and chatted the day of saying, I can't wait to see you again today.
Hunty, you met him on an app.
Okay.
And
see
I expect
the problem
nothing.
here?
Oh, what?
Hold up.
I'm ready to fight. I got my boxing gloves on and I'm ready to go.
No. Go get your boxing gloves on. Look, Kevin, I understand your perspective in terms of being guarded.
I'm Zac
Guys,
Efron
here's
with his weird chin in that movie where he's
Do not
wrestling.
even talk about my husband. Keep his name out of your mouth. Keep his goddamn name out of your mouth. Fucking mouth. Yeah. You do not bring up my first husband, Troy Bolton's name.
Tacky.
We're all in this.
We
so
gotta
what I'm
stop
saying,
singing. We talked about this. No more musical
we talked about this on the phone. No more musical theater. we don't guys, we don't actually know anything about musicals. Someone said that someone said finding out these two are musical theater gays is like finding out your dog has rabies. We don't know anything about musicals. We were acting. It was a joke. Ignore that. So my take on this whole situation is, yes, Kevin, you're right that the expectation should be low because men on apps, blah, blah, blah. A, we met beforehand. But B, here's the thing. When you say keep your expectations low, you are kind of validating me because you're saying that expectations should be kept low because men suck. I will die. I will take it to my grave that I will combat this notion that dating like this should be normalized. I know it's normalized. Don't get me wrong. I know. But I will not expect it. And when it happens inevitably, I will be very transparent and let them know how inappropriate their behavior was, just like I did, and just like he apologized. And just like I had him apologize, I will make any man apologize. And if they don't think that it's worth a proper apology, I will walk out on the date. And I've walked out on dates before by men who have pissed me off with their bad manners. I don't care if we have normalized this precedent that people need to be disconnected and uncaring. I will combat that. That is not normal, not in my world. And then the other thing I have to say, I'm not done. The other thing I have to say is that the guy, after he apologized properly and we had a really nice like coffee the next day, he literally was like, you literally walked in, I looked at you and I was like, holy shit, I fucked up, right? I looked really fucking hot. Fuck you. Anyways, it was really fun. What were you saying, Kevin?
I agree with you in the notion that you deserve respect. The difference between our actions is that you will meet someone expecting an apology and I just won't meet them again. Like once they cancel, I say, yeah, I expected this to happen. And then I will put that person out of my mind and there would never have been like a second meeting in the first place. So
correct.
like,
and if you remember what I said during the phone call, I said that is what I normally would have done, but I wanted to be open to giving this person a second chance because our initial connection was really nice. They were flying out the next day back home and we had been texting literally leading up. And guess what? I don't regret giving them a second chance because it was a really nice date. There was also, they are a little bit older.
I didn't say a word. I didn't even look at the camera. I didn't do anything.
You did it. Okay, I will disclose what I want to disclose publicly. Kevin knows the ins and outs of everything, but they're a little bit older. Maybe and so I was like, I'll just give them some slack. Maybe they're not used to this like dating space. And that is essentially their context. And it was really, I had such a great time. Normally though, Kevin, I'm in the same boat where I'd be like, hey, it looks like you like aren't really able to meet me where I'm at communication wise. This was really shitty. I hope you learn how to respect people and I'm not interested in seeing you again. But it was a very, very cool connection. And it was a fun time.
Don't wink at me like that. Don't do that. I'm the only one watching you right now, and now I feel weird. Don't wink.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of commenters get horny from random, really slight things. So maybe that'll work.
You're wild today. You're wilding out with Nick Cannon. You're going crazy.
Oh my god,
well,
Kevin,
let's just roll right into it. If you're
week.
No. You're on the roll. So let's just get right into it. If your week was a sexual position, what would it be?
Okay, I'm not going to give any context. I'm just going to get right to it. If my week was a sexual position, it would be being in each other's, not you and me, being in each other's arms, like wrapped around each other's bodies like a beautiful painting, and just like nose to nose, like breathing each other's air and like just feeling each other being one.
Do you ever get tired of feeling? Do you ever get tired of just like having so many emotions and sensations just firing off like neurons in your brain?
No, it's the best because I can literally have a podcast where I talk about a sex position and have
You haven't done that yet. You described hugging.
That's shut up. It's not the same. It's different. I did not it's sensual hugging and it's like to me it's a form of sex. And
what are you,
because
Mormon?
I'm a deep feeler. Yeah, I am. We soaked. Soaking is my sex position and I had a very visceral bodily flashback through describing this hugging, and that's why I'm glad that I feel things. I am feeling things. Kevin.
If I were you, I just feel like I would be constantly exhausted.
I am constantly exhausted, but I'm constantly excited. Tell me about your week in your sex position. I want to hear about it. Do not say Paper Mario.
Oh, but guess what, Diva? Guess what? Guess what?
Go for it. Go for it.
Ooh. If I have to sit through your sensational hugging, then you get to listen to me talk about a video game I like for 5 fucking minutes. So about Paper Mario, it's the best game. It's the best game. It's so good. No, so it does relate to that. For those who aren't up in the video game sphere, video game came out. It's a remake from a GameCube game from 20 years ago. I've played it as a kid 1,000 times. It's my favorite. Same. I love it. So a remake of that game came out this week, and I've been playing it like crazy. And of course, it's just as good as I remember. I'm delighted. My problem is that I seem to not have any real sense of like self-control when it comes to boundaries from this game I like. Normally when I play games, it's very easy for me to just turn it off after an hour and like, that was cool, let's move on. But this is something I like can't resist sometimes, just because it's so much fun, and I just have so much love for the entire mechanics in the game. So this entire week has been me being like, yeah, I'll turn it on for like 30 minutes, it'll be cool, and then 4 hours go by and I look at the clock and I go, what? And
look, a good video game, that always happens, so that's good.
Is it?
Don't.
No, that's the thing. It's fine.
It's
like
good.
This doesn't happen often, so I know that it's not the end of the world. But I do wish I had like a little bit more self-control. So if this isn't a sex position, but it is a sexual act. What it reminds
when is
me
it
of,
ever a sex position?
I don't want to hear.
From either of us.
You're worse, so I don't want to hear it
from either of us. We're on the same team. I'm saying
no, we're not. Not in this moment. I'm on the opposite side of the court, and I'm crossing my arms and going, you can't have sex with my wife. She's my wife. If I was to relate this week to something sexual, it would definitely be when you're like extra depressed or tired, and so you like masturbate in your bed, and then you're like, okay, now I'm done, and then you're gonna get up, but then you don't, and so you like masturbate again, and then you're like, okay, I'm done, time to get up, and then you just like do it again because you're tired and lazy and like a little bit depressed.
How
so
much
just,
stamina do you have?
Well, you're just lying in bed.
You've
never done this?
Ejaculate 3 times in a row?
No, this isn't like continuous. This is like, and then 10 minutes go by, you still haven't gotten up, and then you're just gonna do it again, and then like another 15 minutes.
You can ejaculate 3 times in a row with 10-15 minute intervals?
Yeah. If you're like not doing anything, you've never done this?
No, it would just hurt my genitals. I don't use lotion. Okay, that's a lot of information. It would hurt me.
You can use lotion while masturbating. You know that, right?
I don't like to, so it would make me uncomfortable. I've done this in sex, and it's nice and beautiful. Oh my god.
I can't with you. I can't with you. I'm not going to sit here and tell a story about being depressed and masturbating too much, and then you immediately turn that around and talk about how wonderful connection is. Fuck off. How dare you? How very dare.
Continue your story.
No, you literally, this is not relatable to you.
10-15 minutes is not long
you've
enough.
never spent all day in bed just like hand on your
Kevin, all day, yes, but you're talking 10-15 minute intervals between the ejaculations or masturbation sessions.
I'm sorry, I don't know the precise timing that it takes for you to lock and reload. I apologize.
I'm not telling you to apologize. Actually, I was going to tell you it's impressive that
don't
you
worry,
have that
don't
stamina.
Worry. I wasn't apologizing. It was incredibly sarcastic of me to bring up those words.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I was trying to compliment your stamina, but you did not let me.
Oh, gee, thanks. Here's a consolation prize, Kevin. There you go.
Okay, sorry. Continue your story. What's your sex?
No, that's it. Like lying on the bed and being like, well, I guess I'll do this again. And then time goes by. It's been like 3 hours, and you're just like, oh. Is that not relatable to you?
Can you do that again, but make it less depressing? Like, viewer retention is gonna really suffer. No one's here to remind themselves of what they could be.
I think this is incredibly relatable, and I'm shocked that this isn't something you associate with.
I have had experiences like that rarely, like in the past.
I don't think this is a rare thing for normal folk. I
don't think it's rare. I believe you. You know what it is, Kevin? I'm more anxiety coded and you're more depression coded.
I guess. I just think it's very funny that you're like, wow, you spend all day alone in your bed and lose time to your thoughts. Could it be me? Wee!
Oh, that's not what I meant. Oh, see? Okay, I'm so sorry.
I know it's
I know.
not what you meant. But
I know,
then
but
you
that's
said
how it
I'm
came
more
across, and I do
depression coded.
apologize.
No, don't apologize. It was very funny.
No,
I,
no, but I will apologize. I don't want you to feel spoken over or anything like that.
I just
What is happening right now?
no. Last week you were like, this is so relevant, and I never thought of it that way. And I guess I was just expecting you to have another one of those moments, and you didn't. And now I'm just like, am I the weird one? I'm like low-key panicking a tiny bit, because now I'm like, uh-oh, if I'm telling this story and I'm like, see everybody else, and everyone's like, you're alone, Kevin.
No. It's definitely relatable. It's definitely deeply relatable. My friend, I know this is deeply relatable. I can confirm that.
But anyway, that is how I've been processing this
Good.
week. It says it's been a solid week. It's been a very simple, like nothing crazy's been going on. So we just
Yeah.
vibing. Yeah.
We had a few phone calls this week that were nice too. We were hanging out while I was playing video games. I was playing Assassin's Creed and fighting bad guys, really stupid NPCs, and I was talking to Kevin at the same time. That was fun.
I feel like you can do better than Assassin's Creed when it comes to just gaming.
I
feel like you can do better.
beat the new Assassin's Creed, Kevin, and it was not great. I
Yeah.
was just like, really? That was it?
I feel like Assassin's
I agree.
Creed, most video games I feel like are 10 hours of really fun gaming put into 60 hours, because a larger game is easier to market and make people feel like it's worth more money, versus like a 60-hour game that only has 10 hours of fun is not a game you're going to want to replay again, versus a 10-hour game that you really enjoyed the whole time is something that you're going to return to and feel better about.
Luckily, this new Assassin's Creed was not long. It was pretty short and bad, so it was the worst of both worlds.
Cheers.
It wasn't horrible. It just wasn't super fun. But no, I agree. Kevin and I talked about this. We're like, I can do better than Ubisoft. I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, in general, yeah. The society we live in can do better than Ubisoft.
Yeah. Happy Pride Month, Kevin.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so happy this is our first Pride Month together as boyfriends.
Do you feel prideful? Are you full of said pride for your gayness?
One of the things that I hate most about myself is that I have to be attracted to men. So I don't know if pride is the right word. What about you?
I completely agree. Okay, here's the thing. I don't like going outside. That's the thesis statement of this whole thing. And pride,
He went to a club in a sweater.
It was cold. It was winter.
The club was indoors.
Yeah. There were windows. It was still kind of cold. Yeah, I don't like you right now. I'm putting my Zac Efron boxing gloves back on, and I'm making my chin look weird.
Well, it's funny. You're usually you're unaffected by my words today. You're like weirdly affected by. Stop that.
What?
Stop doing that.
What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do?
Disgusting.
What are we gonna lose? Our $4 of monetization?
Horrible.
What are you gonna do? Okay, yeah. Pride. There's two avenues we have to go down, right? One is pride is good. Pride needs to be here. Pride deserves a space because there is not enough equality yet. So therefore, we have to make it known that we're here. That is true. But also, there's so much discourse around like being out and proud. Yet it kind of completely overshadows this shame that exists in everyone's experience, where there is a huge period of your life where you're just kind of like realizing that you're different and realizing that you are never going to really fit in. And I don't know if like pride as a concept is always the best way to combat that. The thing is, like, as a child, and this is me and my own internalization of things, and it doesn't have to do with anyone else's story, but like as a kid watching these like men prance around and be their authentic self was great for them, but I saw that and I was like, that's not me. I'm not gay. I'm not that. And I feel like through corporate spaces and just public displays of queerness that are not relatable to me in any way.
Sure.
And I guess I
Yeah.
just wish there was a more diverse approach to Pride. You know, it reminds me of how
Yeah.
like so many lesbians come out of the closet so late in their life because
Lives.
of compulsive
Heteronormativity. Yeah, compulsive
yes.
heterosexuality, or like not real, like women's sexualities are so unprioritized that they themselves don't realize that they're not supposed to feel this way towards men,
Correct.
and you know.
Yes, and like a celebration with rainbows and parade floats isn't going to do anything for that kind of struggle. And I guess I just wish there was more of a
Yeah.
discourse or conversation around this like idea of shame. And not that the shame is something you need to accept or like put up with.
Sure.
Maybe it's my own ignorance for not knowing where these spaces are, but I do wish there was just a little more of a community vibe rather than party vibe.
Yeah, I totally empathize and relate to that for sure. And I think with Pride in general, obviously, like there's the whole like corporate angle of it, which is like people complain that Pride's become very corporate, which I'm like, yeah, I mean, ironic considering it started off not being that at all, right?
Yeah, it's frustrating because it's like having money is good, but also like having JP Morgan say, "We love gay," and then give me a rainbow fucking pin to put on my shirt. I'm like, this isn't.
Yeah, or like, you know, oh God, I don't even know where to begin. Or like,
yeah,
you know, the president or like political leaders being like, we support the rainbow people, and then being like, anyways, we want to destroy a country. You know what I mean? It's like there's layers.
Yeah.
And okay, back to the community piece you're talking about, Kevin. I can totally relate to that. See, I think the tricky part is that like, so yes, I think community emphasis is important and good. The thing is, a lot of, at least in my experience, a lot of organizations do put money and effort into community events. It's just that people aren't as into them. And B, marketing to a more introverted crowd means that you have to market introvertedly. You know what I mean? Because they're not watching the big flashy thing. So that's a whole other conversation, but I get that. And I completely agree with it. You know, I will say, it's so funny because I'll see these critiques of Pride and I'm like, yeah, like totally agree. Very valid. For me, it's a lot simpler where I'm like, oh my God, I feel so safe knowing that like there are this many people that like don't want to kill me or arrest me for being gay because of like the fact that like, you know, I grew up in the UAE a little bit and then like my family's from countries where it's like not accepted. And so for me, I'm still kind of at an earlier level, right? Where I'm like, yes, these level 2, 3, 4 critiques are valid and they're real and that discourse is valuable. But for me at level 1, I'm like, oh my God, I'll go to a Pride parade and I'm like, oh my God, so many people don't hate that I'm gay.
Yeah.
Hate me because I'm brown. And I'll be like, oh my God, just the sheer volume of people here that wouldn't want to hurt me or wish me harm for being gay is so cool. So I just get happy. But of course, I relate to the things you've said.
Yeah, like I'll watch people in parades and they'll be like, you know, moms giving out hugs and they'll be wearing just like shirts, be like, ally, I support you. And I'm like, there's nothing more valuable than just like someone who's like willing to give a stranger some love because of who they are. Like that's so important. At the same time, I'm like, I feel I'm just like, I don't know, I sometimes I feel like it will swing too far onto one side of the pendulum where it just feels like a loud bombastic party, and I find that so incredibly unrelatable. And as someone growing up, I just think I have this idea, I'm like, that wouldn't have helped me, and I'm wondering if there's a version of Pride that would have, or if there's just kind of like, no, Kevin, you had to figure that for yourself because you weren't paying attention, you weren't listening. So I go back and forth, but again, it's like, it's important for me to remember that it's necessary, and it's really hard to discuss because there is so much nonsense discourse about Pride where people are like, no kink at Pride, or like my 8-year-old thinks this is off-putting. It's like, okay, well, it's
Don't
not
bring
for
your
you.
8-year-old.
Yeah, like
it's not for you. You
there's
know?
so many stupid points, and I'm like, it's so hard to navigate because I'm like, I don't want any of this to go away. I just want to maybe shift this perspective a little bit, you know?
Well,
I don't know.
That's why I think like the principle. This is so fucking corny, but I'm like the principles surrounding
never
what
stopped
Pride
you before.
should stand for. You need to burn in hell, and you need to be in there for a very long time, and I just want to see you fry up.
Wow, happy Pride Month.
So I think that like actually embodying the principles of Pride and what it should stand for, yes, it's so much community building and community work, and like veering away from not only the corporate washing or whatever, but also like the whitewashing of Pride. Like, I think a lot of it has to do with what you do year round, right? So like for me, it's like having a platform where I talk about being queer and brown and like having like that space. You do a lot of stuff with like reading and activities and gaming, like you're very activity focused. So you like building community that way, right? And
Hmm.
so I think if we want to have those community focused principles of Pride to spread, we need to keep being people who use their platforms to like give queer people safe avenues to do things, because there are so many harmful queer people kind of negating the work and misrepresenting what pride is, right? It's important to keep doing what we do. And how do we treat queer men that we don't want to have sex with year round? That is something you should be asking yourself if you care so much about pride and community, right?
Hmm.
Not you specifically, obviously, but
No, I
people.
was very attacked in that
Why
moment.
no it's just why are there so many shitty people, and like the way they talk to you on apps? Why are there people on dating apps where they're like only looking for friends, but their photos are like of them in underwear? And I'm like, well, if you're only looking for friends, why should I care what you look like naked? Why are there these like weird all white muscle friend groups of gay men in speedos that's seem to be connected through purely their aesthetics? And maybe that's an unfair statement. I don't know that. Maybe
No,
that's
I
not the
mean
case, right?
I mean it's a little bit of a tangent, but it relates to how queerness is sold. Like think about how like Drag Race is great. Drag Race is wonderful. Something that Drag Race has been bad for, however, is like how it's kind of created this environment around bars. So drag and drag queens mostly exist in the like the bar scene, right? That's where most of them make most of their money. However, there's now
Sure.
a barrier to entry. It mixes sex, drugs, alcohol into this queer art form. And it's really, really, really hard to sever those ties. And something I think Drag Race has not done and kind of made worse is create a stronger bond to drag and alcohol. Granted, there are just more queens doing more stuff now, which is great, but like
Yeah.
you think about that and it's like if I'm sober, I don't want to go to a bar to watch my favorite show Drag Race. Like if I have a checkered past with alcohol and drugs, drag is something that
Mm-hmm.
might be dangerous for me. And as a queer art form that is so
Interesting.
wildly popular, it does feel a little bit, I guess, like it's troubling. It's an
Why
interesting
can't
it's an
but
interesting
I
situation to deal
understand
with.
that there's a link, but like I understand there's a link, especially when so many drag queens also are so transparent about the fact that they're very sober now because of XYZ, right? But I guess in my head I'm like, why can't they like, and this is an ignorant question because it's coming from an ignorant place. I want you to help me out. We just go to a bar and order a ginger ale and accept that we don't want to do this stuff while we enjoy this queer art form.
You
Because
can.
like
You
if we're
can, but how
celebrating
comfortable
some
are you
things,
around all of that content? Like, is it
I
triggering for you? Is it something that you can easily do? Do other people know? Are they
right,
going to be
but
buying you drinks?
don't a lot of celebrations always involve alcohol at public spaces? Like your concerns are valid, but don't they spread beyond this specific example? Like
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yes and
would this
no.
happen at a concert?
Yeah, I guess I'm pointing out like the things we use as queer people for building community, usually a lot of alcohol and drugs around them. So it's like, yeah,
Oh,
you're
okay.
right. As a sober
Okay, I
person,
got you.
life is
I got
not
you.
catered to you being sober.
I
Life's
see what
always
you're
going to hand you
saying.
those curveballs. But as a gay
Mm,
person, you are probably going to be around more
yes.
temptations that take you down that path. Or even then,
Gotcha.
if you're a 14-year-old who really likes drag, you can't experience a lot of it. So it's like
Gotcha.
there's now
I see
the
what you're saying.
barrier that I'm talking about is amplified cuz queer, not because like life is hard, you know what I'm saying? But again,
Gotcha. You're
it's not a whole piece of the puzzle. And I'm not saying like Drag Race is bad because of this. It's just an
no, no,
angle
no.
that I'm like, god, that kind of sucks.
So your overall thesis of your critique was that party culture is so intertwined with queer culture, and kind of the mainstream appeal of Drag Race and what it's done is it's kind of bolstered that alcohol slash substance queer connection, and that's kind of an issue. Is that
I
kind of
would
what?
say it's bolstered, but then anything, the wide scope of Drag Race, I don't think has created enough avenues for people to experience it without centering around that party culture. Yes.
I'm glad that we're talking about this too, because it's actually very relevant to what we're going to talk about a little bit later on. Like the idea that like as a queer person, like there are these boxes, right? And like categories that we have to constantly push ourselves into.
Uh-huh.
Really quickly before that, I just wanted to quickly talk about you had a tweet go viral this week
Oh,
that
no.
was very funny and I really liked it. Kevin, I liked it.
Speaking of Pride
Guys,
Month.
nobody knows what a twink is. Kevin, why have people in our comments called me a twink? I think people think I'm a 5'7". I'm literally 6 feet tall and almost 200 pounds.
We've talked about this. You give off incredible short king energy. There is,
but I'm not a twink. You
we
can't
just
call
talked
me a
earlier.
twink.
Okay, I'm not calling you a twink. I'm just saying the public perception thinks you're a shorty because you give off that vibe.
Well, then why is it okay for you? Okay, let's talk. What was your tweet, Kevin? What was your tweet?
Yeah, no, I'm fully down. So was it Jonathan Bailey from?
It was Jonathan Bailey.
Yeah,
Correct.
I haven't seen the show, but there was a clip of him shirtless, looking like an absolute fucking hunk, and someone was like, I need a twink like this so bad, implying that Jonathan Bailey is the twink. And then I quote tweeted, it's now up to 160,000 likes, which gives me an incredible amount of anxiety. But I said, I think it's neat how to some people words don't have meaning, which I'm like,
that's not a twink.
That's not a twink. It never has been, never will be. Well, first of all, I think the idea of classifications for body types will it will only end up bad for everyone. Okay, let me back up. I have a video about this. In the video, I talk a lot about how men will claim that straight men are queer baiting them. And I'm like, that's actually silly. If you're attracted to a straight man, they're not queer baiting you. That's you being attracted to someone. They are not responsible for
if that's the example they're talking about.
Yeah, if they are lying about their sexuality, yes, but that's never the case. They just aren't saying they're gay or straight, and then gay men will be like, how dare you have sex with a woman? I am attracted to you. And then they'll claim it's queer
I
baiting.
did see a video. Did you see that video with Hassan Piker? Where his gay friend is like, as a joke, he's like, you're queer baiting because a lot of your sexy pictures have armpit content and only gay men like that in other men. And I was like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
It's so funny how like women just want to be held and they want their hand to be touched and they just want like to be looked
I'm
in
women.
the eye. Yeah.
I don't care about armpits. I want to be held.
Most women just like want eye contact and a nice
Yes!
conversation and to be asked how they are
Yes!
and to be listened to.
A lot of men
And
as well. Don't box us.
I will though. And then men will just shove their face in an armpit and be like, he's daddy. He's the one. He's the only thing I've ever wanted in this life.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well,
now that we're talking about how
that's
bad
not for all
classifications
men.
are, to continue my conversation about why classification and generalizations are bad, I go on to explain how I think it makes me think a lot about when people call themselves skinny fat. And I see this a lot in like personal training spaces where it's like you have now created a definition for yourself that has no real qualification, that can only end in shame. You know, when someone calls themselves a twink, it's like, okay, I know that there's a subset of people that are proud of that, but often it's the way to like almost discredit or to put someone in a box that makes them lesser than. I don't like classifications because it just reminds me of how people will leverage those classifications against themselves. Like, it just creates a divide and it just makes people confused. There's a ton of straight people now in my comments asking what wolves are, and I think we've gotten farther away from where we even began. And at worst, yeah, man, I don't know what's going on. Listen, as someone who's been called everything from a twink to a twunk to a twuz to a bear to an otter, it's silly. I know, it's
so
just
cringe
silly.
And weird.
I know.
Why are we so embarrassing?
You know what,
Why
though?
is it so embarrassing to be a queer man?
Happy Pride. So,
Happy Pride.
I think, but what I think this comes from is a need to classify people and to feel better than them. I think it's a way to like put people in a box so you can think that you know who someone is. I feel like it's spiritually akin to like astrology, where it's like, I know who you are. You're a Sagittarius,
Yeah.
and I don't get
roll.
along with them. It's like,
Yeah.
interesting. It feels like
Yeah.
you are labeling something
An
to make
idiot.
it easy. Ooh. No, it just feels like you're
Astrology
labeling.
is fun and great, but if you're going to use it to explain why you're going to off the bat not interact with someone, sorry, but you're really stupid, and you're as stupid as the really religious people that do that as well. You're not excluded from that.
I completely agree. I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting you to go so hard, but here we are.
No, if you're using it to be rude to someone and be like, oh, I actually can't engage with you because you're a Sagittarius, I'd be like, thank you so much for letting me know and explaining why I can't engage with you because my IQ will literally drop the moment I inhale the same air as you. I hate people. Continue.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Imaginary fight with myself.
really, we've got some deep trauma to unpack there, don't we? I mean, it really just it ties back to like, don't comment on people's bodies. Just don't do it. The more you get used to not commenting on people's bodies, the better we can all kind of exist in a more peaceful way.
Well, I was going to say, unless specifically for me, you're telling me that I'm very sexy.
But calling someone sexy isn't necessarily commenting on their body, right? There's a lot of ways to present sexiness.
Oh, that is a very strong point, and you just unpacked something interesting that I think my brain will need to process.
Uh-oh.
Very nice.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so comment sexy body on me. On my...
You want to try that again and make it an
Kevin?
English sentence?
Unless they're commenting, wow, what a sexy body Taha has. Look at his neck and his titty hair. I'm a nun.
Your chest hair does look very nice today.
I have very nice chest hair in general because of my ethnicity. It's just everywhere.
I will say, as someone who frequently showcases it all for many folks online, I don't really give a shit when people comment on my body because it comes with the territory, you know? Like if I were to sit here and be like, I can't believe you just said that about my butt. I'm like, Kevin, get a fucking grip. But also, there are good ways to do it and bad ways to do it. And it is shocking at how many people have found weird ways to talk to me that indicate that I am nothing more than an object to them. So it's like, am I mad? No, but it is a little sad.
Yeah, Kevin and I have this problem all the time where like he'll call me and I'll be like, hey, you bouncy titted ass wiggling sex doll of mine.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
And he's like,
yeah,
all the time. And I always say that to him, and then Kevin's like, hey, like I'm more than just an object. And I was like, oh yeah, prove it to me, you that ab having, what do you call those pussy lines that you have, that those rip people have, the like
cum gutters.
Ew, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. I'd be like, oh yeah. Okay, I need to
say it.
Okay.
Say it. I dare you.
I need to segue into our next thing.
I dare you to say it.
Oh,
I dare you to
you
say
think
it.
I can't commit to the joke? Ever since Kevin told me I can't commit to the joke, I'm gonna commit. Yeah, and I'm like, oh yeah, Kevin, show me those cum gutters. I want to see where my dead babies are gonna have their funeral.
Pervert.
That's me.
Pervert.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Happy
pervert.
Pride, everybody.
I'm a pervert. Okay, so like, we've been talking a lot about categories, boxes, twinks, bears, wolves, question mark. I saw this amazing video. Yeah, put a pin in that one. I know we both actually saw this really nice video. It was an actors roundtable. It had a bunch of incredible artists, including Quinta Brunson, one of my favorites, one of my idols. I love her. I want to have her career, and she is my role model. Anyways, Quinta, I know you're listening. Sorry, that just happened. So they talk about how being a woman in comedy puts them in a lot of boxes. And not only that, but like a lot of the women were racialized women. They're like, as a woman of color, I feel like I'm in a box where I have to only make stories about my trauma. And I think it was Quinta Brunson who's like, bro, sometimes I'm just like, no, I want to write a cool sci-fi show. Like, why does everything have to be centered around my trauma? Why does all my content have to come from real life inspiration and my actual experiences? Why don't I have the luxury of just writing something? And even the other women, right? Even like with white women writers, they were even talking about how like, I think they might have touched on this, but even if they didn't, like, we all know that like as a woman, if you're writing something, the standards for you are going to be a lot higher than the standards for men. They're going to be a lot higher.
100%. How do you feel about that?
I agree completely, Kevin. Like, and that's a big part of like the content I make and why people say, for example, like a lot of people be like, oh my God, I love that it's not just like about you being sad, about being queer and stuff. It's just like fun. And I'm like, yeah, because like we are multifaceted people. Like I'm allowed to have the identities I have, and I'm also allowed to be a fucking silly idiot and like laugh about it and like also just be happy as fuck and unapologetically gleeful. Like I love that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, something that was really disappointing that I saw. An article came out about Pixar because they are having trouble financially, and Pete Docter was in an interview to promote Inside Out 2, but they were talking about how after the quote-unquote failure of like Luca, Turning Red, and other movies that had a style and point of view of like a very specific type of person.
Culture.
Yes, exactly. The higher ups were like, we need to focus on more general storylines, you know, movies about fish. So
Sure.
it was really, really frustrating to watch that because it's like, you know, it's in philosophy, it's called like structuralism, where
Okay.
you are identifying patterns and stories in how the world works, right? Like how the Roman gods of the past resemble superheroes of today. Structuralism is about identifying why those patterns exist and why they are so similar to each other. It's really frustrating because then it just poses the question, why are these stories the things that have mass appeal? Why is it a movie like Turning Red doesn't have mass appeal compared to The Incredible? Why can a movie like Soul not do well and Disney says, well, I mean, look at what it's about, and then turn around and be like, we need more Cars movies because they have mass appeal? Like, what about that is fair? Why is the world like that, and how can we change it?
People, so like white people have only ever had media that they see themselves in, whereas racialized folks like myself haven't, right? So for us, when we see a movie about all white people, we don't go, what is this agenda they're pushing? We just go, oh, a movie. So when I say movie about like Turning Red, where I'm like, I'm not Chinese. Well, I guess it's set in Toronto, but I'm like, it's another movie and it's really good.
San Francisco,
and I'm
isn't
like,
it?
Turning Red, no, I think you're thinking of Big Hero 6, which is based in San Francisco. Turning Red is specifically a Toronto story.
Wait,
they even have.
Okay. Don't they like reference 9/11 or something? I thought it was American.
I don't know.
Never mind. Ignore me. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, continue.
So like when I see a movie like Turning Red, which by the way is such a good movie.
Oh, it's great.
It's great. I'm not like, this is Asian. What is this agenda they're pushing? I'm like, oh, another movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whereas I think when people see cultural movies or like movies that even just like have a person of color, a lot of white people are like, what is this agenda? Why is this mermaid black? And I'm like,
yeah,
bro, it's like not that serious. Like it's a movie. Like it's the first, like the question isn't why is Ariel black? The question is, why are you making a live action Little Mermaid? You know what I mean? Ask the right questions.
Yeah,
ask the right questions. By the way, that movie was far better than I thought it was going to be. So that's not today's conversation. I think the reason that these movies don't do as well is because white audiences feel like they're being pushed an agenda, but it's like, we weren't yelling that we were being pushed an agenda when we were watching movies featuring you, because we know that the stories were great. We're just saying, okay, let's keep making some really great stories, but let's just like have the visible physical avatars of that story be a little more diverse so more people can see themselves. Because when you see yourself for the first time represented, like it's such a beautiful feeling, right? Like and it's a rare thing where it's like not something all of us have experienced as people of color. I remember the first time I ever saw Queer Eye in my life, I saw Tan France and I was like, holy shit. I don't even think I was out at the time. I was like, that is a Pakistani gay man. And I just started crying. I was like, I can't believe it. Kevin and I had the same thought, which is, well, I'm always crying.
Take much,
I'm always crying. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much depending on the context. But yes, I was like, not just like a little bit crying. I was like sobbing. Kevin's like, still no. But like it was a feeling I'd never felt before, where I was like, I can be there. And have you ever had that experience, Kevin? Like even if it's like a queer thing, I don't know, like what is that for you? Because I want to hear about your experience.
I hate this answer. The first character I saw as like, oh, I can be this, was in Happy Endings. There is a straight actor that plays a gay man, and the only thing gay about him is that he's labeled gay. He only dates white people, and he only dates very attractive folk, and he's he likes sports and he does all this stuff. He basically just like is a straight guy, but everyone's like, yeah, he's gay. So that was the first time I was like, oh, me. And it's not great. Look, it's not great.
Look, that's the point though. Look, I'm going to take your like self-deprecating point and turn it into a positive.
I don't think it's self-deprecating.
That's the point.
I think there's a general amount of shame to the lack of diversity that I carried growing up.
That's correct. Okay, and that is true. I'm saying the other angle of that.
It's not something that I think is like so taboo, but I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
sitting next to someone who has this general experience of being different, and I'm over here relating to the straight person putting on a gay cosplay face. Like it's a
Yeah.
little
I get
it's
it.
a
I get what
little
you're saying.
the scales of justice have not been equaled out,
Of
if you
course.
will.
Of course. And I think that's a good disclaimer for the audience. For me and you, I don't care about the scale. Like I want to hear about you and who you are and what your experiences are.
Totally.
So I'm happy you shared that.
I
And
will
look,
say
I
one
think that's the
thing.
whole point is that even if a piece of media isn't great, like just having that representation itself made you happy, right? So like I
Mhm.
think that's kind of an interesting point. Sorry, you were saying one thing.
Something that taught me the most about the world, though, I hate this about myself. I hate my upbringing. There's a lot of life that I had, and I'm like
That's
looking
a
back, and
different
I'm like, you're
episode.
so cringe. You're so cringe. But it's real. Like when I was taking improv classes at the UCB, I learned the most about like how to carry myself in life. And one of my
Mm,
biggest takeaways was like in an improv scene, no one's crazy. Everyone has a reason for doing something. Yeah. So like as a method of saying yes and, you can't just dismiss
yeah.
someone as like they're crazy. They don't know what they're talking
Exactly.
about. They're different than me and that's wild.
Yeah.
In order
Yep.
to make something work, you have to give them a reason. You have to show why they're doing something, and you have to find out a way to empathize with whatever they just did and make a scene work. It allowed me to be instantly more empathetic and to kind of really see that the things that are different are actually never as black and white as you think they are. You know,
Yeah.
the way that the world works isn't how I view it, but how all of us cohesively view it together. And so once I kind of like stood back and understand that, the idea of like opening myself up to diversity and like hearing other things and seeing the world for what it is was so much easier. And I
And
hate
for
that I
Kevin,
learned
that
that from
happened a
him.
few months ago.
Yeah, yeah, it was
It happened a few months ago.
his last
When,
week.
because look at my skin tone. Nobody sees me. If you don't know what Pakistani faces look like, you might be people like Kevin who are like, oh, I thought you were Greek. And so when I told Kevin, like, Kevin, you know, like you want to start this podcast with me, I'm ethnic. He started vomiting on the spot and was like, abort mission.
I know.
Ah! And I was like, Kevin, no, like I can really add a lot of value. And I begged for his approval because I'm
And
a
then I
dirty
looked at his
slut.
follower count. I said, okay.
And then we both said in unison, Happy Pride.
Happy run. No, but I mean that's it's
My
not it's a like my journey to understand things has been weird. But that's how we got here. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on like as a POC creator, do you find that you like
that I have
is
to put in way more work
well, not work,
compared to
but
my
like
peers who aren't.
do you often find that like you are spending too much time teaching people? Because I know a lot of your content is like educational in terms of how people view culture, but like, do you often
Sure.
get tired with how much you have to like walk people through a process?
No, it's fun. I don't even do it that much, and when I do it, it's fun. Like I'm pretty chill about it. I don't. I mean, the most I'll do is if I'm referencing something like Bollywood or South Asian, I'll put like a whole disclaimer about context, and my
Uh-huh.
followers like that, and they're like, "Oh, cool, I learned something." No, I don't mind it. I like it because my followers are very respectful, right? Like I know they're
Hmm.
not going to be rude about it, and I love sharing my culture, so it's
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, that's great.
Like one day when I get married, I'm gonna ask my guests if they would like to wear South Asian clothing, and you're gonna wear a kurta. You're gonna look very nice.
Oh no,
You're
I'm
gonna
gonna
look
wear
very.
a sweater, just like I wore to that club, because I'm comfy.
You will not
I'm
make it through the
comfy.
door.
I'm comfy, baby.
My red flag for this episode is the fact that I had to remember that Kevin wore a sweater to the club. That's my red flag.
Out of all the things I've done in my life, to latch onto this is silly.
Well,
I've
don't
done so
invalidate
much
your
cringe. I just told an
experience.
entire story about how
Stop
improv
silencing
told me about
queer.
life. Yet the sweaters, your line in the sand. Okay.
Oh, sand, because it's a desert. Because I look Middle Eastern.
Yeah,
Well,
so
guess
you wanna
what?
know, you want to know why we're recording this late today because I slept in. You want to know why I slept in? I had the impulse to watch Mad Max Fury Road, and so I watched the entire thing while painting my nails, and I ended up going to bed at 1:30.
That's some gay shit. Okay, what is your red
It's
flag?
so good. If you haven't seen Mad Max
It is
Fury
very
Road,
good. It's a good movie.
it's so good. Even if you've seen it, you need to watch it again because it's so good.
Yeah.
Ugh.
What's your red flag?
My red flag for today is remembering that improv taught me a lot about life. And I just don't love that. I don't love thinking about that.
That is embarrassing. You
Yeah.
need to take that to the grave and
That's
not
clown
publicly.
college
Oh, God.
bullshit. It really is.
Yeah. Do not tell people about that.
You're okay, cool.
It's like
I'll only tell you guys. You guys listening, no sharing this. Don't share this.
I'll cry. Okay,
just like every other day.
I know. My green flag for this episode is finding out that there's a wolf category now that the weird gay people have made.
That's your green flag?
I will Google.
You're going
That's
for
my
it?
green flag because I will Google it and I will learn. I'm excited for this educational journey.
Listen, there's two reasons why I think your journey is going to be fraught with danger. One, it's on Twitter.
Fraughting.
One, we're on Twitter here, so, and then two, these are straight people coming in saying things. So, like, you're going down a path of resistance that I cannot follow. So have fun, but
Hey,
I don't think
I've been on a lot of those paths. We'll be fine. What's another one?
My green flag.
What's your green flag?
My green flag for today. My green flag for this week is being able to listen to your perspective, because I always enjoy hearing you out on like what culture you can bring to the table and how you can do that. So I guess my green flag is just having you as a partner, having you as a little comedy duo.
Appreciate that. I really appreciate the like virgin, unbathed nerd perspectives you bring to the table too, and that cultural impact that it has is really, really valuable to me.
I have to
It's okay.
I have to constantly curb what I'm going to say as like, Kevin, no one cares. Move on.
Okay. You realize that? No, you have to realize that both me and the audience, we love you, and so we love hearing like the things that make you.
Boo!
Shut up, bitch! Fuck
Boo!
you, dumb cunt!
Get alive!
So we like hearing the things that we like hearing things that like.
Wow, you say you love me and then you flip me off.
You.
Wow.
Yeah, I am flipping you off.
It's time for the negative comment that Tango picked out.
Tango uppies.
Yeah, as you guys know, Tango reads all of our comments. He vets them. So if there's ever a comment that disappoints him and makes him sad, he brings it to me.
Can Tango make a sound?
No, he's my silent boy.
Okay, you should learn from him.
So Taha, what negative comment did Tango pick out for you this week?
Okay, so the negative comment Tango picked out this week. We briefly chatted about it or briefly mentioned it. You know what? It's negative, but it's warranted, and it's something we deserve, Kevin. On our video podcast, where you can see us be sexy, someone commented, finding out Taha and Kevin are musical theater gays is like finding out your dog has rabies. We just like to say that we agree with you, and it's not something we're proud of. It's not a part of our past that, you know, it was a different time. It hurts us just as much as it hurts you. It was it wasn't us. It was like a different person.
I'm not gonna back away. I am cringe and I am free, and I'm going to jump wholeheartedly into this pool of mess that I have made for myself. I am a musical theater gay. However, much like my passion for Disneyland or my love for animated cartoons, it does not come from a love for mediocrity. It does not come from a place in my heart that enjoys making other people miserable. It comes from light in my soul that can only be satiated from someone at their breaking point singing about being at their breaking point. And I'm not going to be ashamed of that. However, what I will be ashamed of is bringing it up too much and annoying people, because I can only agree and think that that's terrible. So, as the self-identified problem will do more work to shut the hell up, there will always be a spot in my, I guess, heart, frontal cortex, I guess,
that's just the brain. You just described the brain.
Okay, well, that part of the body will always be just sadly attracted to musicals. And when Idina Menzel comes out to sing Let It Go for the 17,000th time, I will be singing along, because frankly, that is my cocaine.
Let It Go was your best example. Be a proper musical theater nerd. Say something from Sunday in the Park with George, or like Frogs.
No,
by
I'm thinking
Sondheim.
of cringe shit. I'm thinking of cringe stuff.
Okay. Sondheim has a musical called Frogs. It's about frogs. It's really weird. Google it. It's strange. I haven't
See,
watched
you
it.
need.
I'm not
I
going to
think
watch
we
it.
need a speech from you apologizing instead of me doing all the legwork. I also feel
Huh?
like we should get
You're
this.
outside? Oh my god.
I feel like we
Okay,
should
my
get this
mom's calling
from.
me.
I do get like I need more musical theater people to agree that musical theater is terrible. Like I need them to just like sit down and agree with me that like 80% of musicals are bad and it's okay to like them, but I just need people to agree with me that 80% of them are bad. Like
Yeah.
I'm
80%
that's
of them
all
are
I
bad.
want from the community and I'm never going to get it because they're
Yeah.
cowards.
And the percentage of them that are good are usually Sandai. Don't
There's
argue
not
with
enough
me.
shame behind your voice. There's not enough regret with your words, and that worries me. All right, looks like we got to wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening. We
Thank you guys
gotta
for being here.
like, comment, subscribe. Of course, we're so glad you're here. Rate our podcast,
Kiss
give it 5
us.
stars.
Make out with our videos.
No,
Play our podcast and put your phone up your bum.
That-
So it's like we're in you.
please don't. Just the first parts of that. You don't have to do all the.
We
other stuff.
love you. We love you, but not in a parasocial way. We know you. We know you. We know you.
You make this so difficult sometimes. All right, guys. See you later. Oh my god, he's gonna start crying.
Shut up.